Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 349 for June 18th, 2024. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On this week's show, the AIF, the NAL, and the UFL all crowned champions. There are no more undefeated teams in the Arena Football League, and Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence gets paid. But I'm not here all by myself. Across the table from me, as always, is my son Adam.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I watched the NBA Finals and I watched the Stanley Cup Finals over the weekend. I turned off a CFL game to watch a hockey game with my buddy.
God.
I know. Forgive me.
I have no son anymore.
Oh,
Hey, I went to a baseball game a couple weeks ago.
yeah, I know you did. My buddy's a big hockey fan. He hasn't been over to my new place.
Sure.
So he came over, watched the hockey game on the big TV. But we did watch a little bit of the Saturday, what was it? It was British Columbia and Calgary game for like an hour before the hockey game started. So I got a little football in, but then I turned it over to the hockey game for him because he was rooting for Edmonton. They were down 3-0, and they ended up winning. It was I think the biggest victory in finals history because they won by 7 goals. It was like 8-1.
Okay.
I don't like hockey that much. I'll watch it in person. We have a team in town, the K-Wings.
Sure.
And I was just like, this was one of the more entertaining hockey games I've ever sat and watched. So. Yeah, a lot of fun.
Okay, cool.
Not as fun as football, of course.
Yeah, I guess you're forgiven then. We come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast. We also have timestamps down in the description of both the podcast and many of our YouTube videos, so you can go right to the topics you really want to listen to. You can also find our podcast in its full audio form on our YouTube channel. Just search for The World of Football Kalamazoo, or use the handle @TheWorldOfFootball in the YouTube search bar. You will find many other selected videos on our YouTube channel, like Arena Football League Weekly with Adam, your review of Week 7 last week, and you'll be doing Week 8 here in the
coming days, yeah.
next few days. And Week 2 of our newest one, Canadian Football League Weekly, where you and I discuss all the games that were played in the CFL and look ahead to next week. I had to make some apologies, and I've got more apologies coming next week, so stay tuned for that.
Right.
Keep getting a few things wrong here and there, but I'm trying.
It's all good. And then we'd also like to mention to everybody out there, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, why not? We are currently sitting at 968 followers on the YouTube channel as we continue our journey to 1,000 subscribers. Every person helps. It's been a great ride, and we just wanted to ask for a little more help as we are now 32 subscribers away from hitting that milestone. So tell your friends and hit that button if you haven't already.
Well, we've asked people to tell their friends about us. Now we're asking, tell your people that are not your friends about us also, and your coworkers. And,
anybody that likes football.
The people you ride to work with, whatever, carpool, whatever, the checkout guy at the grocery store, whatever. All right, let's begin our tour around the world of football. And this week we're going to start with the AIF.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The AIF, the one league I could not give two craps about, in a championship game that literally came out of nowhere for me, saw the Columbus Lions defeat the Corpus Christi Tritons 46-20 in this game. I have not seen highlights from it. Like I said, this game came out of nowhere for me.
Yeah, I didn't even know that the regular season was coming to an end. Or
I don't know if they knew that the regular season was coming to an end.
With only 4 teams in the league, the top 2 teams met for the championship game, and the Columbus Lions, they've been a class team for years. I think they were undefeated last year in whatever conglomeration of teams they had set up, which was terrible. I mean, there were a bunch of nobodies they were playing.
They're literally the big fish in the little pond, and they just need some better competition. I'd love to see that team jump to an NAL, maybe even the Arena Football League, even indoor football.
Some better competition is what they need.
Yeah, that's what they need.
They've been around a long time. They were 6-0 this season. Corpus Christi ended up 4-2, and like you said, nobody was really watching because they're. I'm very familiar with the Columbus Lions. Many years of seeing their scores and
Yeah.
hearing how well they're doing, but boy, they've just been not playing some good teams.
No, yeah, and it's a league that also restarted this year,
Yes.
and a league that has had so many issues that it makes the Arena Football League look like it was a well-run organization at some points. Like the frustration towards the end of covering the AIF. I mean, if you've listened to any of our past shows, you could hear it in my voice. I definitely was tired of talking AIF because they were just a hard follow. I even went to their Facebook page and backtracked. And it sounds like this championship game has been in the works for a while, I guess. I didn't even realize that, so I joke about them, just coming out of nowhere with it. But for almost a month, it seems like, if the posts were correct, I'm looking at, this was going to be the championship game. They knew about it, but the last few weeks, they're playing non-league teams,
Right.
and it was just like a mess. And I don't know. It's hard to get behind something when oh yeah, championship game's in a month. Oh, okay. So why is there any urgency? Why should I care about anything else then
Yeah.
till then?
Yeah.
So I don't know. If they come back next year, I hope they change a lot of things, but I do kind of want Columbus to jump out of that league and
Yes.
try a different,
Let's see if they're
different
really
league.
as good as their record has shown the last few years when they've been playing, beating up on nobody. So let's put them in a real league with some real
Right.
competition and see how they do there. I'd love to see that. All right, we're going to move on to the National Arena League Championship game. This game was on Saturday. The Omaha Beef improved to a perfect 9-0 season with a win over the Sioux City Bandits, 47-46 in double overtime. I don't know if you saw
I
anything of
did
this.
see the end of that game.
Yeah, there was an article about it written on their website or whatever, and from whatever the guy said, I could not figure out how this thing ended. So I had to go to YouTube and I had to physically watch the last few minutes of it. Um, it was 34-34 at the end of regulation. Both teams scored touchdowns in the first overtime, and both missed the point after tries. One tried to kick it, and the other one tried a fake extra point and tried to run it in for 2 points, and which they didn't need to because all they needed to do was kick it and they would have won right then and there. But they were stopped at the 1 yard line, so that didn't work. So they went into a second overtime. In the second overtime, the Bandits got the ball, scored, and then they missed the extra point. Um, the Beef scored their own touchdown, and they made the extra point for the win. So that's how
Yeah.
that ended. This was the 21st consecutive win for the Beef and their second straight title. So congratulations to them. They're another team that you've heard their name for years.
Yep.
They've been out there. They've been
20
really
plus
good.
years, yeah.
Yeah, and we may not have won the championship every year, but they were right there in the playoffs or in the championship game. So another team that maybe you put the Beef and the Columbus Lions together in
Yeah.
this league, and you might have something there.
You might, or if I think Omaha should finally make the jump to the Arena League, if the Arena League comes back next year.
I'm sure they will.
But yeah, they're a team that's been around forever. They're a team that they won the CIF championship last year before the CIF got absorbed into the Arena League. So that's back-to-back championships for them. Good on them. We'll talk about another team that's won multiple championships across multiple leagues, technically,
Right. Yeah.
in a second. But look, yeah, this is another team that I feel like, at least coming to the NAL, they lost a bunch of good teams last year, so the Beef were kind of the new big kid on the block, so to say.
Right.
And they proved it, winning 9 games, going undefeated here in this league. So I don't know if the competition's up to snuff. Obviously, Sioux City gave them a run for their money, so even Sioux City might be a team that, despite their 5-4 record, could be a team that could bounce to another league if need be. And I'm not saying that the NAL should shut down or anything. The NAL's got its own problems as well that I think need to be sorted out.
Right.
But so good for them, getting a championship like that, and those loyal fans. I mean, a team doesn't just exist for 20 plus years.
Right.
Even if they go through several leagues, a team doesn't make it this long without a fan base
Right.
or a community behind them.
Yes.
And that's what the Omaha Beef is. I've had tremendous respect for the Beef ever since I remember early days of the internet, dial-up days,
Right.
seeing stuff about the Omaha Beef. And at the time, not comprehending what were the Beef, but you would always be like, oh, they're an indoor football team. And I didn't really get it. Then obviously we got inducted into the arena football fandom, and that went off from there. But that was a team in this league
Right.
in Omaha, Nebraska that I didn't know anything about, but I would see them pop up on the internet if you knew where to look, being the son of the World of Football creator. So
Yeah, the beef had been around a long time, and the NAL does use the rebound nets.
Yep. So they
But
technically
they had
play arena football.
but they had some of those crappy nets like
Yeah.
the Oregon Black Bears had,
Yeah.
embarrassing kind of nets. So
Not
get us some
not
decent nets.
that embarrassing. But they never really lived up to the typical standard of arena football
Right.
league nets.
Right. Yeah, I saw a kick hit the net, and it didn't bounce back. It just kind of got absorbed.
Uh,
So the netting is not real tight like it
Yeah,
should
unless a
be for an
team
arena
like
game.
we watched the Predators last year when they were in the NAL. They still had the nice rebound nets from their arena days.
Sure.
So, because I remember we were watching the game and the ball got stuck in the
Mm.
iron. I think I screenshot that. I have it saved on my laptop somewhere. So, but yeah, so we'll see what happens with the NAL. If more teams drop out, like last year, just felt like they lost so many teams. I was surprised they fielded enough teams this year after the exodus they dealt with. So we'll see what happens with the NAL and the AIF going forward. But a league that I think is going to be around for a long while is going to be the UFL. That's right, the UFL had their 2024 championship game in St. Louis, Missouri. The game between the Birmingham Stallions and the San Antonio Brahmas, where the Stallions shut out the Brahmas 25-0. No one scored in the first quarter, and then it was 8-0 going into halftime.
A snoozer up to halftime.
It was a very defensive game, and I was okay with it
Yeah.
being a very defensive game at first.
Yeah.
It was a chess match, and eventually, Birmingham figured things out and got that first score. And then the second half, it was 22-0 at the end of the third quarter. And then the Stallions hit a field goal in the fourth quarter to make that the final score. And they held off the Brahmas on a 4th and 19 play with 4 minutes and 22 seconds left in the game to preserve that shutout. And how about the Birmingham Stallions as a powerhouse in spring football across the USFL and now the UFL? Since 2002, when the USFL began, Birmingham, I said 2022.
You said 2002.
Sorry, 2022, where Birmingham has had a 32-4 record, back-to-back USFL titles, and now a UFL title, 11-1 record this past season, and Birmingham quarterback Adrian Martinez being named league MVP. This team is special.
Well, it was the game MVP.
Oh, he was game MVP and he was league MVP of the year.
Game. Yeah.
So yeah, after getting benched last week, I wasn't even sure if Adrian Martinez was going to play in this game, despite being league MVP. But yeah, winning game MVP. He was awarded that by Tom Brady himself after the post game.
Mm-hmm.
Other stuff that happened during this game, the pregame. You showed me. I didn't watch that part live, but one of the robot dogs pulling out the football and giving it to Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner was in attendance. His son was playing in the game, and Kurt Warner playing many years in St. Louis just seemed like a nice fit to kind of be presented the game ball or whatnot before the game. And despite, they said the crowd was like 27,000 people at the game. It didn't look like it if you looked at pictures of the game. So it was a little disappointing seeing that visually. But
yeah, we were expecting a sellout crowd if St. Louis had been in it.
Had they been in it, it would have been a different story.
Sure.
But this is my big issue with, I get wanting to do neutral site games just for the logistical things. It's less of a headache. But this is why I think in these spring leagues, the indoor leagues, you got to just back the fans. The fans are what make it. And if you would have put that game down in San Antonio, that game probably would have been something else. If
Or
it would have been in Birmingham, they probably would have showed up for that too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Making a neutral site, I mean, it didn't look 27,000, but they said they sold at least 27,000 tickets for it. So what have you. The TV numbers, though, have been great. I guess that's what you were just looking at.
Oh, yes. Let's see. TV numbers, 1.596 million viewers, which is up 38% from last year's USFL championship game and up 11% from last year's XFL championship game. And the peak numbers for the game this year, 1.7 million.
Yeah, something else. Like,
so that's good numbers.
It was just disappointing that the game wasn't more entertaining. Like, I had a coworker who hadn't watched the UFL all year long, and he's a big sports gambler. So he was like, he heard me over talking with somebody else because they were like, "Hey, you gonna watch that UFL game tonight?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna." And he's like, "What's this? What's this now?" And I was like, "It's the UFL." And he like looked it up on one of his gambling, I think it was FanDuel or DraftKings or whatever. And he was looking at it. He's like, "I might have to do some research." And because he was like, who would you pick? And I would have picked Birmingham, or not Birmingham. I would have picked San Antonio going into. I thought Birmingham would pull the upset. They were the lone team to beat Birmingham this year, so I thought the Stallions would fall again to the Brahmas.
Right.
And obviously that didn't happen. And come to find out the next day he didn't actually place a bet, so I felt better about that. Like me giving him,
advice.
This is why I don't do gambling advice.
Yeah, nobody should listen to us for gambling
And
advice.
if you watch our weekly show during the season, NFL season, where we do our weekly picks, we are not to be taken seriously with
we
with
don't
our
know
picks.
what the hell we're talking about.
But for the UFL, though, I mean, you also had some other numbers about like attendance for teams all season long. Did you want to pull that up?
Yep, I've got this right up on my phone. They came up with a chart, and I posted this on our Twitter X timeline.
Yeah.
The St. Louis Battlehawks, of course, led the league in regular season attendance this year with 171,825. The next closest was the DC Defenders with 70,715. So 100,000 more people in St. Louis than went to DC games. The Brahmas around 59,000, Stallions 51,000, Arlington 49,000, Michigan 40,000. Let's see, the Houston Roughnecks 35,000, and in last place was the Memphis Showboats 34,000 regular season fans. So it's about what you expect. But of course, St. Louis was the attendance king this year, and I think they were last year too, maybe. But yeah. That's why they wanted to put it in St. Louis. But again, if St. Louis had been playing, those numbers would have been much, much higher for that,
I'm sure.
for that game. Would have looked better on TV.
But the TV numbers, though, for the UFL as a whole, incredible.
Yeah.
So I think the merging of these two leagues was the absolute right move.
Yep.
I like that they kind of kept both leagues' cultures kind of in place. Like, the conference is kind of the same with the exception of the Roughnecks kind of taking over for the Gamblers.
Right.
But that's fine. That was a bigger name brand in Houston at the time anyway, so I'm cool with that. But now the question, and maybe we'll have to do a video on it, is where does the UFL go from here? Do they expand? Are teams going to move to different markets because of some of the attendance stuff? Like, while like Detroit or the Michigan Panthers didn't have the greatest home attendance, compared to a lot of teams, their TV numbers were top 3. People were watching Michigan Panthers games here in Michigan
because of Jake Bates.
Well, I think between Jake Bates and it's the holdover from the Lions having such a good season, fans in the state of Michigan were just fiending for more good football in the state. And Wolverines winning a national championship. Football in the state's been good.
Yeah.
And so I think, interest was peaked with the Panthers. So we'll see what the future of the league is. I'm hoping, and my hope is that they expand by 1 or 2 teams per conference. That might be a big ask, but bringing back some of the another USFL team that we would recognize, maybe bringing back an XFL team we would recognize. Yeah. I think bringing back a Seattle Dragons or Sea Dragons, whichever one you want to call that, and bringing back like a Pittsburgh Maulers or the New Jersey Generals or something like that would be great. They don't have to come up with completely new names. I think there's enough historical teams that they could resurrect to make it interesting. And even for the old XFL, like the 2001 XFL, bring back a Chicago Enforcers or bring back an Orlando, what were they called? The Demons, they were the Orlando Rage. Yeah. Like the Orlando Rage, something like that. Bring them back. Like, that'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah. You're going way back for the Orlando Rage and the San Francisco Demons.
Yeah.
The teams from 2001.
Right. But pick some of the cities that don't have NFL teams. I think that's where your bread and butter is right now. Right. Like in Orlando, I think would be perfect. Going through my head at the top of my head, maybe trying to think of another team or city like a Salt Lake somewhere. They didn't have a Salt Lake team. But,
no.
That would be a market you could probably.
Chicago Enforcers, New York, New Jersey.
Do you have your mini helmet sitting around here for me to look at?
They're out in the other room. But I think we hit most of them already.
Yeah, but we'll see. I would love to see them bring like one of those teams, like the Memphis Maniacs.
Oh, yeah.
The Las Vegas Outlaws, but you probably don't need a team in Vegas now that the Raiders are there.
Yeah, they had the Birmingham Bolts.
Yeah, the Birmingham Bolts or Thunderbolts.
Well, they got the Stallions now from USFL. But yeah, there's teams they could bring back, recognizable teams, and maybe something brand new, like you said, a Salt Lake City team with a whole new name and logo or whatever. Yeah, that'd be fun. I think it really would be.
All right.
Well, let's move on to the CFL. This was week 2 in the Canadian Football League, and it started on Thursday night. The Ottawa Redblacks defeated the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 23-19. Winnipeg drops to 0-2 to start the season. Wow, that's I'm sure they'll be fine, but
Are you getting more doubt? You seem a little more upbeat yesterday talking about it on the other show.
Yeah.
Are you starting to have doubt?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if they lose a couple more right off the bat, it could be tough for them to climb back. But they've been so good for so long that I think they'll right the ship.
I think so too.
Yep. And let's see. Montreal on Friday was the Montreal Alouettes over the Edmonton Elks. I'll keep wanting to say Eskimos. 23-20. On Saturday, it was the British Columbia Lions over the Calgary Stampeders, 27-17. And on Sunday, it was the Saskatchewan Roughriders over the Hamilton Tiger Cats, 33-30 on a last-second field goal as time expired.
Watch the highlights from this one. I recommend this is my game of the week.
Yeah.
We talked about it during the video. Crazy stuff to get to the end of that game. The Rough Riders had to climb their way back into that game. The Tiger Cats kind of let it literally fall through their fingers.
Right? Yeah, they had the win in their back pocket, and they let Hamilton, or they left Saskatchewan off the hook.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so we're not going to go into a lot of details now because we've got our own video out there. Go out and watch.
If you want more in-depth discussion, because we talked quite a bit, go over to the YouTube channel, check that out.
Yep.
So yeah, because we do we'll do the standings over there and some other news items, but we still got a couple we'll talk about here.
Yep. And the Toronto Argonauts were on by this week. At least one team every week's on by. So this week was Toronto. Let's see, Taulia Tagovailoa, the brother of Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, has signed with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. He played at the University of Maryland and is the Big Ten Conference's all-time passing leader. He was not drafted by an NFL team, but had rookie minicamp tryouts with the Seattle Seahawks and the Arizona Cardinals. Nothing wrong with going up to the CFL to show people what you can do. I mean, it's worked for other players before, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. As opposed to sitting out for a year or holding out for maybe a UFL team next year. Get out there and start playing.
Right.
Stay active, learn. They got good coaches up there. There's great receivers up there. I think this is a good move on his part. Let's see. Oh, this is something I just became aware of yesterday. The CFL and Canadian Broadcast Network, TSN, and Genius Sports Limited are ushering in a new digital age to transform how viewers connect and interact with the action on the field. This season, regular season, postseason, and as well as the Grey Cup game will be available as augmented live streams available exclusively on TSN Plus. Now, I don't know if we can get TSN Plus down here being in the States.
I don't know, but I think it's funny that we get to that story, and I was just scrolling through X, and literally this video pops up of them showing the...
Right, yeah, I wanted you to see that.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and it's just like the NFL Prime, Thursday night Prime games where they highlight guys, and you can see the patterns as they're running around, and it says introducing all new enhanced data available on TSN Plus all season long. So very interesting. I think this is for a lot of those stat nerds, and I think even for people I would probably watch something like this, maybe just because there's so many guys that I'm not good with the names yet.
Right, yeah.
And there's so many guys that maybe having certain guys highlighted to be like, oh, that's so-and-so. I know some names, but where are they on the field? I don't remember all their numbers. It's got a speed calculator to tell you how fast somebody's going. Because some of these guys got some jets.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean,
and it's in kilometers, by the way, for all you Americans who don't know what kilometers per hour is.
Is it really? I'm not.
Yeah, it's what it just said. It showed 29.3 kilometers per hour.
Okay. I watched that video, which I thought was good, but it just seemed like at times it was way too busy. I mean, they had, maybe 10 out of 24 guys identified on the field. Here's this wide receiver, the quarterback's name,
Right.
running back's name, and they had all these stats all over the field. It was a little messy, I thought. I wouldn't want to watch it all the time, but if you're a stat geek or a fantasy player where you want to keep track of your guy in the CFL. But yeah, go to our Twitter feed, and one of the things that I posted was an article about this, and in the article is a video, and I couldn't find it on YouTube, but it kind of looked like a YouTube video, or it might be on YouTube also. But within that article is a 45-second video showing highlights from a game that has got all these stats on it.
That's essentially what this post. It's like a 46-second video, just doing that. So,
Okay,
right on.
So yeah, and it says additional information is going to be available to viewers as the season progresses. I don't know what more they could put on than what I've
Right.
seen in this 46-second thing, but man, oh man, it looks like a lot. So I don't know how I feel about it. I'd have to watch a whole game, but from what little I've seen, it's cool, but I don't want to see that much information.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to move on to the Arena Football League.
Yeah, so we're going to go through the scores, but I'm going to tell you right now, Dad, you don't know about this. There is some breaking news in the Arena Football League.
Oh, you just saw that?
It has been, it's a wild thing, and we'll talk about it in a second. Or should I just tell you right now?
No, let's go through the scores, and then we'll talk about.
All right, you're going to be shocked, I think, when we
Okay.
get there. But all right, Saturday night saw the Orlando Predators upset the previously undefeated Albany Firebirds 57-49. It was the first loss, obviously, of the season for Albany. They're technically already in the playoffs. I saw a graphic that said they've already clinched the playoffs, but
Yeah.
through some of this breaking news, we'll see how the playoffs look.
Okay,
We'll tell you in a second.
all right.
I didn't catch any of this game. I was pretty preoccupied over the weekend, so I didn't really catch the highlights. That's what I'm going to be doing the next couple of nights, is catching up on highlights for the weekly arena show. But then Saturday, the Billings Outlaws got back on their winning ways, defeating the Washington Wolfpack 58-18, helping Billings clinch a playoff spot. So that's now Albany and Billings clinching spots. The West Texas Desert Hawks defeat the Southwest Kansas Storm 65-61, a thriller there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Salina Liberty defeated the Wichita Regulators 37-12, helping Salina clinch a playoff spot. And then on bye this week, the Nashville Cats. All right, running through the standings real quick before we get to our breaking news. The Billings Outlaws, there it is. The Albany Firebirds, will sit at the top right now with a 7-1 record, followed by the 6-1 Billings Outlaws, the 5-2 Salina Liberty, the 4-2 Orlando Predators, the 4-4 Southwest Kansas Storm, the 4-4 West Texas Desert Hawks, the 3-4 Nashville Cats, the 1-5 Wichita Regulators, and the 1-6 Washington Wolfpack. And while they did announce their playoff system, and we'll talk about that in a second, but here's the breaking news.
Give me the news. Rip off the bandage.
Via Arena Football Fan, and I've seen some other posts, they can confirm from reports from Shady Sports Net, Anthony Carter from Arena Insider,
Yep.
that the West Texas Desert Hawks have suspended operations.
No.
Yep. So that literally just broke here. The tweet the Arena Fan sent out was at 3:47 Eastern Standard Time here on Tuesday. So, yeah.
Wow. I didn't think anybody. I thought they were done with that.
I thought
teams
so
folding.
too, but here we are.
Oh my God.
Just when we thought that everything was not going to be quite smooth sailing, but they were at least in a good spot. And I know the Desert Hawks just lost fired their head coach last week, or however that happened, split with their head coach. They played a good game over the weekend and won. They are in the playoff hunt, but now they cease operation. So a messy situation there. We don't have all the details. We appreciate Arena Fan, Shady Sports Net, Anthony Carter, and Arena Insider, getting that out there.
Right.
So, because according to Shady Sports Net, I think they were the first one to post it. Because I was doing some looking around while you were doing some talking, but they had heard, their tweet says, hearing that the Desert Hawks players have been informed that the team will be ceasing operations for the remainder of the season. Official news should be coming soon. And then Anthony Carter put breaking, as first reported by Shady Sportsnet, a West Texas Desert Hawks player informed him that the team has shut down. More details will follow, so I'm sure we'll be talking about some stuff tonight, or there'll be some details coming out. So now it'll make it into the show this week for me. So
Wow, that's
it's a bit of a bummer.
so that takes it down to 8 teams.
Down to 8 teams.
From 9, but wow.
And to me, that messes up the schedule. So now, the Nashville Cats had buys this upcoming week and the week after. I wonder if that gives the Nashville Cats another game, how that's going to work.
Yeah.
Man, it's just a headache. What a headache. So before all this kerfuffle went down just now, we did get the breaking news last week, or after we stopped recording, that the Arena Football Playoff format was set.
Yep.
So now I'm sure that'll be up in the air. Maybe they'll stick with it. Who knows? But the playoff format as of now is that there will be 5 teams that make it into the playoffs. Their seeding will be determined by step 1, which is the winning percentage, because all the teams got different, amounts of games played. Right. Their second will be the head-to-head record, then head-to-head points, head-to-head points scored, sorry. Then the third bullet point is the average points scored per game played. And essentially, it'll be in round 1, the 4 and 5 team will play at the 4th team's arena. It's like a play-in game, essentially. The winner will go on to play the number 1 seeded team, and then number 2 and 3 play each other, but they'll have like essentially a 1-week bye. So that means that the quarterfinal round, that'll be played the weekend of July 6th, depending on arena availability. Then the following weekend of July 13th, the same thing, depending on arena availability for the teams that play. The quarterfinal winner will play the 1 seed, and then the 1 and 2 seed will play in a neutral site Arena Bowl 33 on July 19th, as to be determined. We still don't know what the neutral site is yet.
Yeah.
So
they may. I would hope that they just do away with that, or if they give it to Albany, Albany's probably going to be there anyway in the championship game. So just give it to Albany.
Yeah, we'll see. So, but now with the losing of another team, so that's literally they have lost half of their league that they started the season with now. So
so now with 8 teams, they may not need that 5th team.
Maybe
as
not.
A playing game. So, but they might. I don't know. Who knows?
Because the if you're looking at it, the teams that were kind of, it would have been the Desert Hawks there at the 5th seed right now. So by dropping them, the Cats move in, but it just makes it a little more muddied.
Yeah.
The West Texas would have been the 6th seed, so they were kind of in that hunt.
Right.
So
depending on how the next couple weeks went.
Yeah. So that playoff chase just kind of went from being super interesting to having that team drop out. Now it's just like, now what do we do? So just a little disappointed. And I mean, I love getting breaking news when we do the show, but not when it's something like that.
Yeah.
Something that bums you out.
Yeah, I was totally not expecting another team to fold, but you're right. They did get rid of their coach just a couple weeks ago. Even though right after they won a game, I thought they lost. They lost. That's right.
That was the 73-70 shootout.
0-3. Yeah, so they got rid of their coach after that. And then they won last week.
Yep, they just won this past weekend.
So, why is this team folding? I don't know. But it's too soon to tell. I don't want to speculate. We'll wait till we have some
We'll wait till we get some more news out there.
Yep.
So we will now jump to the Indoor Football League. We had several games played Saturday. We had a game Friday and a game Sunday. So starting with Friday night's game, the Green Bay Blizzard defeated the Jacksonville Sharks 63-35. Then the San Antonio Gunslingers squeaked by the Massachusetts Pirates 52-51. You had Iowa also get through a squeaker over Quad City, the Steamwheelers 28-27. Then the Vegas Nighthawks defeated the Duke City Gladiators 53-39. The Tulsa Oilers took out the Sioux Falls Storm 55-41. The Frisco Fighters made easy work of the Tucson Sugar Skulls 35-18. The Arizona Rattlers took care of interstate rival Northern Arizona Wranglers 56-49. And the San Diego Strike Force just got by the Bay Area Panthers 43-42. Looking at your Indoor Football League standings, in the East, you have the 10-2 Green Bay Blizzard, the 9-3 Frisco Fighters, the 6-6 Massachusetts Pirates, the 5-6 Quad City Steamwheelers, 4-7 Iowa Barnstormers, the 4-8 Tulsa Oilers, 3-8 Sioux Falls Storm, and the 2-9 Jacksonville Sharks. Then in the West, you have the 9-2 Bay Area Panthers, the 8-3 Vegas Nighthawks, and then I'm not sure if it's the 7-4 or 8-4 Arizona Rattlers, because Randy's got them at 87-4, which I don't think is possible.
It would be 8-4.
All right, the 8-4 the 8-4 Arizona Wranglers.
Or no, would it be 7-4?
I don't know. That's why I'm confused. Anyway, the Rattlers are there. Then the Northern Arizona Wranglers at 7-4. The San Diego Strike Force at 7-5. The San Antonio Gunslingers at 6-5. The Tucson Sugar Skulls at 2-9, and the Duke City Gladiators at 1-10. Are you looking that up right now?
I'm looking it up on Arena Fan right now.
Well, why would you look up an Indoor Football League record on Arena Fan?
Right. Never mind.
Randy Snow for you, everybody. A man who doesn't know how to do his job.
They all blend together.
Yeah.
Well, when you're talking Green Bay Blizzard and Arizona Rattlers, I'm still thinking.
I get where it gets confusing. And you know why it's going to get even more confusing? Because now we're going to jump into the Arena League, a league that uses arena in the name, but none of the fun rebound nets. Right. Had 2 games over the weekend. They only have 4 teams. So on Saturday, the Duluth Harbor Monsters got a victory over the Ozarks Lunkers 48-38. And then also Saturday, the Kansas City Goats defeated the Iowa Woo 58-42. to 38. So, yep, a league that I've seen some highlights from. And I don't know how I'm feeling about this.
Yeah.
The Arena League.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's a little weird. No kickers, no nets, no goalposts. It's just a 50-yard field and people passing the ball around.
Yeah.
It's a really watered down version of indoor football.
Yeah, the 6. I think the 6 is just too few.
Yeah.
I mean, 7 was like I think as low as you can go. 6-on-6 is just what are we doing?
But they've already announced one expansion team for next year and possibly a second for next year. But we'll see if that actually happens.
Yeah, we shall see. All right, we're going to go back to the outdoor game where we are going to talk Women's Football Alliance. They are playing the end of their regular season this week. Hard to believe. So we got some scores from some games because there's so many teams that it's hard to cover all of them in the span of time we have for this show usually. And Randy just decided to pick out a few teams with some really cool names, and we're going to talk about them right now. Like the Midwest Mountain Lions shutting out the Cedar Raptors 47-0.
I thought that was a cool name.
I thought that was
I hadn't
good.
seen them on the list before, but Cedar Raptors.
That's pretty
a
good.
Cool name.
That is pretty good. Then you have the Capital Pioneers over the Oregon Cougars 56-6. And then the Nebraska Pride over the Mile High Blaze, which is one of my favorite names, 13-9. So as we end the regular season there in the Women's Football Alliance, 24 teams have qualified for their playoffs, 8 teams in 3 different divisions, and then all 3 championship games will take place at Tom Benson Stadium in Canton, Ohio. 2 on Friday, July 26th, and 1 on Saturday, July 27th. And I will say, we were there at Tom Benson Stadium for the USFL championship game in 2022.
Yes.
And I love going to that stadium. It's a nice little stadium.
It's a great place.
They
to watch a game.
re-renovated it, and it's just great for hosting a game. So if you are a fan of any of these ladies, or if you just want to check out football and you're in the area, you're within a nice drive of it, go check out some football for a couple of days. I'm sure the ladies will put on a heck of a show.
Yep.
I mean, if we weren't busy, I'd say we'd go do that, but I think we got some stuff going on.
And they've been playing there at Tom Benson Stadium for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So this is not a new thing for the league. They've embraced, the Hall of Fame has embraced it. The New England Patriots have embraced their team from Boston.
Yep.
And supported them. So that's going to be a great weekend.
Yeah.
And we'll have some playoff scores next week. I don't know if I'll do all the games. With 24, it'd be 12. Well, 12 games. I suppose.
We're dropping a couple leagues. I think you could mention a few more than normal.
We'll have some, if not all, 12 games.
I think if it's playoffs, we got to try to do them all, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We can do that. All right. Let's move on to the European League of Football. This was week 4 over there in Europe. And they had a few games on Saturday. I guess 4 on Saturday, 4 on Sunday.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I was unable to catch up with all the highlights. I got a majority of the games, but I'm sure there's a couple here at the end that I just didn't get a chance to watch. But I have notes on other games.
But they have a great website where all the highlights are there.
Their YouTube channel's great. They have good highlight packages. They're all about 7 minutes. I say this every week. They're about 7 minutes, so they're manageable. So I'll watch them on breaks at work and make my notes then. I just ran out of time today. I got busy. But they'll put like a 50-minute video of like all the highlights of one video. So if you want to sit there for an hour and watch like the best of everything, I think you can sit there and do that. And then they'll highlight some guys. Like if a couple of guys have really good weekends, they put together little highlight packages featuring a couple of their star players. And there's a couple of guys whose names I keep hearing about every week going through these highlights that I'm very excited to I want to know more about and keep an eye on them all season long. While I might not remember their name at the top of my head, I'll try to look them up right now as Dad goes through some of the scores.
Okay, well, like I said, 4 games on Saturday and 4 games on Sunday. So it starts on Saturday with the Rhine Fire defeating the Paris Musketeers 19-14.
Yeah, like this game. So Ryan is your defending ELF champions. They came back in this game after a very sloppy first quarter. I'm talking some of the sloppiest, like turnovers, and there's a bunch of stuff that just seemed in this game couldn't go Ryan's way, but eventually they kind of put things together and got the 19-14 victory there. I want to also talk about the running back for the Rhine Fire, a name that keeps popping up and a name that I love hearing them shout his name when they do the highlights, and that's Glenn Tunga. like hearing these guys say, and Tonga going for the, it is awesome. If you get a chance to watch Fire highlights, do it. He is a British player. And so, I mean, they got some American players that go play over there, but yeah, he has been making a name for himself, and he is one of the league's leading rushers. I think right now he leads the league in rushing with 541 rushing yards. Glenn Tunga, if you get a chance, go watch some of his highlights. He's been awesome.
And the highlights, they have they're speaking English, so it's not like you're going to listen to somebody speaking French or Italian or whatever.
They'll have different announcers. It's hard to tell if they have somebody that's actually there or if it's somebody also watching like on a Zoom.
Could be,
because it's sometimes it seems like it's delayed, and I can't tell if that's just the way the highlights were, if the audio maybe got messed up. Right. But it's still a decent highlight package. Some of the games do vary in quality. Like I'm sure certain venues, maybe their video capabilities aren't quite football ready. Like maybe it is more soccer because it's a little more, or football over there in Europe, but it's a little more scaled back, and it's a little harder to be like, what player is that running with the ball? Like you can just make it out like you're watching game film as opposed to watching a televised ready game, but it's still good stuff.
Okay. All right, moving on. Another game on Saturday, the Madrid Bravos over the Cologne Centurions, 35-24.
Yeah, this might be some of the highlights of the week. I was really impressed with it. The Bravos are a brand new team, I believe, to this season, and they've started off undefeated. They're one of the best teams in the league right now. They had a blocked field goal, and they returned it for a touchdown.
Wow.
They had a lot of great throws and catches in this game. They even had like an awesome reverse for a touchdown. So a lot of great highlights. And with it only being 7 minutes of highlights, you do get the best of the best. Like there has been some great athletic catches. These guys can play. I would put it on par with maybe some of the UFL, maybe slightly under UFL type talent. But it is pretty cool to see that all these talented guys that are actually playing in this league. And some of the quarterbacks can zip that ball around. So
okay. Another Saturday game, the Vienna Vikings over the Berlin Thunder, 25-20.
Yep, this was a game they made note in the highlight package to say that this game had 9,000 people in attendance. So that's pretty good. That's a little better than even like what the Michigan Panthers were bringing in. So that was pretty awesome. And the Vikings, who've been a pretty consistently good team, I'd say they were one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the league. But they started this game up. They were down 20-9 at one point in the fourth quarter, and they ended up winning the game. They scored 16 unanswered points to get the victory. And I don't know if you remember when in week 2, the Frankfurt Galaxy wore, I told you they were wearing like military themed uniforms. And that's what the Vikings did this week. So clearly it's something that all the teams might be doing something, or some teams are doing some sort of military themed uniforms. Because they didn't look like their typical Minnesota Vikings ripoff.
Right.
They kind of threw in some camo and made it a little more gray. So that was just interesting to me.
Okay. In the final game on Saturday, the Barcelona Dragons defeated the Helvetic Mercenaries from Switzerland 14-12 in a very close game.
Oh, this is very close. And when I tell you right now that Helvetic had 2 opportunities to kick field goals to win this game and got denied.
Wow.
Like, yeah, it's 2 chances in the fourth quarter. The first one was blocked. Like, it should have been an easy chip shot, but it got blocked. Then they kicked another one with 58 seconds left to win the game, and it was just wide. And it was just like, geez, you guys had 2 chances with your field goal kicker to make it, and you just couldn't. So the Dragons hold on to get that win. That was pretty good. A lot of good defensive highlights in this game, too.
Yeah. All right, moving to Sunday, it was the Frankfurt Galaxy over the Wrocław Panthers from Poland, 20-10.
Yep, turnovers were the thing that killed the Panthers in this game. The Panthers were driving, like they got picked off in the end zone at the end of the first half. It just seemed like anytime they got momentum going, they just turned the ball over in not silly fashion, but that Galaxy defense made a couple of great plays. But early on, the Panthers defense made enough plays to get that offense the ball back. So the Panthers had a chance, and they just couldn't capitalize.
Okay. Another Sunday game, the Stuttgart Surge over the Milano Seamen, 55-9.
Yep, your Seamen did not show up for this game. I'd say that their lack of...
There we go.
Okay, I got nothing this week. I'll just tell you this. If you watch the highlights, it is literally... There's only 1 or 2 highlights for the Seamen in this game. It was very sparse. It was all Surge in this game. I kid you not. There was like 1 good play for the Seamen where they like threw a nice pass, like it was like a heave down to the end zone. The guy got it. And it was great, like blown coverage, and the guy got it. So Yeah, the one little glimmer of excitement for the Seamen as they exploded into the end zone one time during the game.
On Sunday, also, the Raiders Triol from Austria defeated the Munich Ravens 29-26 in another close game.
Yep, that was one I didn't get to check out.
Okay, and finally, the Hamburg Sea Devils over the Prague Lions 27-17.
Also one I missed. I just had those two highlights I just didn't get to this week. But still, a lot of good football, a lot of great players in this league. And if you go to their website, I think it's a nice little website. They got their passing leaders, their rushing leaders, receiving leaders, and all of that. There's a guy who plays for the Berlin Thunder, Aaron Jackson. I brought him up last week. He had a great kickoff return for a touchdown. He leads the league in receiving right now. They call him Action Jackson. And
I did see that play, by the way.
Yeah, he's something else. He's been a lot of fun to watch, like in some of those highlights. So now there's some names as I've been watching all these games that keep popping up, and I'm liking, hearing these names pop up. There's a defensive guy for the same team, the Berlin Thunder. His name is Kyle Kitchens. He is an American player. He plays defensive end, and he leads the league in sacks right now with 6 sacks. So this dude's got a nose for the football. It's been really fun to watch. And like I said, I like the way this league website's kind of set up to find some of this stuff and all the stats, and they got highlights. And
that's how we grade.
And a great team store.
That's I didn't know
their
that.
merch store is great too.
But that's how we judge a lot of these leagues that we cover. You don't see them on your TV or hear much about them. But if they've got a really good website, and this one does, then it makes it really easier for us to cover them, talk about the games, view the highlights, get to know some of the players. So yes, this is definitely a league worth checking out. Check out their website and check out some of the highlights from these teams. And on by this week in the ELF was the Fehérvár Enthroners from Hungary.
Yeah.
So they were the only team on by this week. And next week we'll probably have the standings because that'll be like week 5, and we haven't done standings yet. I think there are 3 undefeated teams right now.
I believe so.
But we'll have standings next week now that we don't have to talk about AIF, NAL, and UFL anymore. We'll add the standings to these guys.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to NFL. Tom Brady has been inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame, and his jersey number 12 has been retired. This came out of nowhere. All of a sudden,
they might have been talking about it.
I'm seeing highlights of I never heard anything about it, but it was at the stadium, I guess, and the owner was there. Peyton Manning showed up. It was a pretty big deal, I guess. I mean, you knew this was going to happen eventually, but there's also going to be a 12-foot statue of Brady to be unveiled at the stadium sometime later this season.
And did you see the crowd that showed up for this? So I think ESPN or SportsCenter, somebody put up a great picture of. There were fans in Boston who attended a watch party, I think, at where the Celtics play to watch one of the games on the road. They almost packed that arena, and then they packed Foxborough Stadium to watch Tom Brady. So they were saying that for no games were even played,
right,
and these stadiums were packed. Unbelievable. That was such a cool thing to see.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show you also, I mean, we can make fun of Boston sports sometimes, but their fan base, it's hard to deny. They're one of the best, most loyal fan bases, maybe a little mouthy out there.
But like I said, this came out of nowhere. I didn't know about this until after it had happened.
Yeah.
And I wondered, why are they doing it now? Why aren't they, bringing him there? But he's going to be in the booth. He's got a schedule, so it probably didn't work out that he was going to be anywhere near Foxborough to actually be there when they retired his jersey or put him in the Hall of Fame. So I guess they just did it now, I guess when you think about it, it made sense to do it now and get it out of the way before the season starts.
Yeah.
All right. Jacksonville Jaguars head coach, quarterback,
maybe someday,
Trevor Lawrence agrees to a 5-year, $275 million contract extension with the team. $200 million is guaranteed.
Oof.
$142 million is fully guaranteed. I don't know what the difference is between that. Probably, with a few incentives, like showing up.
Yeah. You just get off the team bus.
Yeah.
We'll get you millions of dollars.
Not having any violations for your socks being the wrong color. Or
maybe if he cuts his hair, who knows?
But yeah, $142 million fully guaranteed. And he's now tied with Joe Burrow for the highest paid quarterback in the NFL with an average salary of $55 million per
Unbelievable.
year.
I mean, I figured he's going to get paid, but to be the top quarterback, no offense to Trevor Lawrence, who was an outstanding college quarterback, and he's been pretty decent in the NFL, but he hasn't really, I don't know if he's earned it. I hate saying that. I mean, get your money. You get what you negotiate, not what you deserve sometimes.
Yeah.
Whoever he's got negotiating his contract, good for them. But shoot, I don't know, even over Joe Burrow, who at least got to a Super Bowl, over Jared Goff, who been to a Super Bowl, got the Lions to an NFC Championship game. I don't know. I don't like this.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if it works out for them or not. I mean,
Yeah, we'll see.
it's way too early to tell. All right, Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins signs his 1-year franchise tag tender, and he'll be making a whopping $21.8 million this season.
Not a bad chunk of change
No.
for one season. I mean,
No, not at
I
all.
mean, these franchise tags, I mean, I know a lot of people hate them. I don't know if I'm a fan of them, but when you're having problems with your contract and all right, he's getting the average salary of the top 5 wide receivers right now.
Yeah.
Is T. Higgins a top 5 wide receiver in my opinion? I don't know. I feel like I can name 5 guys who I'd put above him, including his own teammate, oh my gosh, I was going to say Justin Jefferson, but it's not Jefferson. It's the other LSU wide receiver that plays for them, Jamar Chase.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a better receiver, I think, than T. Higgins. Nothing against T. Higgins, but man, to get that kind of money, when I would say that your top 5 receivers, you got Devontae Adams out there, you got Justin Jefferson, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, and you got, trying to think of another receiver, you got Tyreek Hill, and you got, I'm sure there's somebody else. I'm just blanking. Debo Samuel, yeah.
George Kittle.
Well, George Kittle's a tight end. But I'm just saying, I mean, get your money. Don't get me wrong. Get your money. It's not what you deserve. It's what you negotiate.
Right.
And in professional sports, get the bag and, take care of yourself. Because at the end of the day, sometimes these teams don't care about you. You're just a player. So make that money, get that money, and good luck for him.
Yeah. In some other NFL news, the Atlanta Falcons were fined $250,000 and will forfeit their 2025 fifth-round draft pick for violating the anti-tampering policy related to improper contact with prospective unrestricted free agents Kirk Cousins, Darnell Mooney, and Charlie Warner prior to this year's permitted negotiating window ahead of the official opening of the free agent market in March. That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
It's very specific what they got fined for. But their general manager, Terry Fontenot, also was fined $50,000.
And chump change for all of them.
Right, yeah. But, yeah. I'm sure a lot of this happens or goes on, and maybe it goes under the table. And
maybe, but then we
doesn't
also had
get
the
investigated.
Eagles who were also being investigated for tampering.
Right.
With Saquon Barkley, I believe. And
Yes.
nothing happened to them.
Right.
So they were in the clear.
They said there was not enough evidence.
Yeah,
So they evidently hid that pretty good.
But I'm sure, it happens all over the place.
Let's see. The Netflix documentary Receiver, who brought you the show Quarterback last year,
Yep.
is going to premiere on Wednesday, July 10th. Kind of looking forward to this. The 8-episode series features the Raiders' Devontae Adams, the Vikings' Justin Jefferson, the 49ers' George Kittle, 49ers wide receiver Debo Samuels, and Lions wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown. This was the article I was looking at when you couldn't think of other.
I figured. I was
just
like,
looked down
you just
a
got to
little
look down
bit.
a little bit.
Yeah, read a couple of these names. Let's see
Yeah.
if that's who you're thinking of.
I mean, all of them, I would say, are top guys. I mean, George Kittle is one of the best tight ends in the
Oh,
league.
sure.
So Debo Samuel is more of I'd say instead of a best receiver, he's just like a best all round. Like the dude does everything, runs, catches, all that. So, but I'm looking forward to this. This trailer was electric. I was so into this trailer, like obviously because of Amon-Ra, but I am curious and interested in some of these other guys. And I think as we watched how quarterback went down, I feel like receiver just seems a little more. They saw what quarterback kind of did, and they can work on what was good about the quarterback and just make it better. Now you got 5 guys to follow. 2 of them are teammates.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you have 3 of these guys who ended up making it to the NFC Championship game. And 2 of them obviously played in a Super Bowl at the end of the season. So again, another good stretch of guys who were there from the start of the season to the end.
Right.
I just think it'll be interesting having 5 stories to jump around to, could be very fascinating. Should be a lot of fun. Like I said, that trailer was electric. I watched that trailer and I was like, when do I watch this? I want this now.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to wait a couple weeks yet.
Yeah.
The Chiefs unveiled their Super Bowl rings. I saw some of the videos of the players looking at the
Gaudy
ring.
as ever.
Seen some animation. Of course, the top of the ring comes off again, and there's like a stadium inside the ring, and um, yeah, typical
And they added,
gaudiness for these days.
but they added the play that won the game there at the end of an overtime, or no, because this game was this an overtime game? I forgot.
I don't remember. It
But
was
at the end of the game,
months ago.
but at the end of the game, whatever the play was that the Chiefs used to win, I think
Right.
they had the play in there. But there is a mistake a lot of people pointed out because they always list the teams they beat in the playoffs and the Super Bowl, and they had the Miami Dolphins as the 7th seed when the Dolphins were a 6th seed. So all those Super Bowl rings just got that one little typo in it, and people were just kind of making fun of them for that. Like, you got a typo on your Super Bowl ring, so I don't know.
But it's still a Super Bowl
It's still
ring, so who
I'll
cares?
take a Lions Super Bowl ring with as many typos as you could put on there, as long as it's a legitimate Super
Yep.
Bowl ring.
Absolutely.
You can misspell Lions for please get that right.
Let's see. The Pro Football Hall of Fame is making an exception for the Chicago Bears defensive lineman Steve McMichael during the upcoming Hall of Fame induction ceremony in August. They are taking his Hall of Fame bust and his jacket to his home so that he can be part of the ceremony. McMichael has been suffering from ALS since 2021 and is confined at home in his bed. McMichael played for the Bears from 81 to 93 and was a member of the 85 Bears Super Bowl team. So yeah, if you've seen some video of him, he looks in really bad
That's
shape.
unfortunate.
They moved his bed into the living room of his house, but yeah, he's bedridden and he can't speak, but he he does show emotion here and there. And they were talking with one of his teammates that went to visit him recently, and so I'm glad that they're going to his house and going to make that a part of the ceremony. So you'll be able to see that during the induction of him for this year's Hall of Fame class. All right, another show coming out is I say HBO's Hard Knocks, but is it Max now?
It's technically still HBO, but
Okay.
obviously it'll stream on Max.
Okay.
So.
But HBO's Hard Knocks in season this year is going to be with the AFC North division. So you're going to have the Bengals, Steelers, Ravens, and Browns being featured on that. I don't care about the AFC North myself, but I think it is good that they're doing an entire conference
I think that'll be our division.
division.
It should be interesting because they made note in the so NFL Films vice president and head of content Keith Cosrow said in a statement about this whole thing, like, last season the AFC North became the first division ever to have all 4 teams with a winning record, making it the perfect place to launch this new approach. And I'm cool with that. I think we've talked about this on the show before. I had mentioned, like, why don't you just do a whole division? I feel like that'd be more captivating than focusing on one team.
Yeah.
I think the race to a division title at the end of the year, a playoff push, would be very fascinating. And I think the AFC North is a good candidate. I think the NFC North would have been just as equally an interesting candidate.
Sure.
I mean, any division, really. I mean, you can build drama up there, but we'll see how they approach it. But it does seem like a little bit it's just trying to, we want to in-season Hard Knocks so bad.
Yeah.
But they just haven't cracked the right formula to get people as on board with that as they do traditional Hard Knocks. So now they got the off-season Hard Knocks we're going to experience with the Giants, our typical Hard Knocks with the Chicago Bears and their training camp, and now an in-season with the whole division. We'll see if that's the recipe for success, having those 3 types of Hard Knocks covering that thing with a bunch of different teams.
Haven't they done 2 previous in-season things?
Yes, it was the Cardinals and the Dolphins.
The Dolphins, okay.
And I think the year before that they did the Colts.
Oh, and I haven't watched any of those. We watched the first episode of
I
the
think
first
it was
year.
the Colts was the first one, and we just
So
didn't-
we've seen all this information already, and it's just a rehash of stuff we already knew. So I've never gotten into it. But this format might be worth checking out.
It'll be worth checking
a
out.
couple of episodes, maybe.
Yep.
All right, and lastly, in NFL
Oh,
news.
you skipped one story, but I mean, you skipped. Yeah.
Okay.
You do that first.
Yeah. The Detroit Lions have finally signed, thank goodness, UFL Michigan Panthers kicker Jake Bates
Woot woot.
to a 2-year contract. It's not a big contract, but at least he's officially signed with the team. $1.89 million, $150,000 is guaranteed, and $100,000 in a signing bonus. So, he's not going to be rich, but at least he's signed his contract, and we're so glad to have him as a Detroit
And
Lion.
we'll see. I mean, that doesn't guarantee him a roster spot still, so there's
No.
all that.
No.
So I did say if the Lions signed him, I would get a Jake Bates jersey.
Yeah.
So if he makes that roster, I will do it. I mean, technically they signed him.
Yeah.
But I would like to see him actually make the roster, get an actual jersey number, so I could get me a custom Jake Bates jersey. I'm going to do it. I'm a man of my word. He makes this
get
final roster.
get a really custom one that's half Panthers, half.
Let's not get too crazy now.
He wore 38 with the Panthers. I don't know if
I don't know what he would wear in the NFL, how that's going to work. So,
Probably
I know they got
single-digit.
weird number things still. I mean, they've opened it up, but
Right.
we'll see what he does with the Lions. And yeah, I'll do it. If he becomes the starting kicker, which I kind of hope so, and I hope it pans out.
I think he will.
Because no offense to Michael Badgley, I just think that Jake Bates would be an upgrade. You give him some work, especially kicking outdoors. That's where he's got the problem. But I mean, most of his games are indoors this year.
Right.
He's kicked at Ford Field. He knows how that works. So
yeah, no, this was I was so happy because he worked out for a couple of different teams, the Packers and the Ravens.
I don't know if he worked out, but they did express interest. I
think he actually went to two.
Did he?
other
Okay,
teams.
because I figured Detroit would be the winner all along.
Sure, but when three other teams were interested in him, I'm like, oh man, don't let him get away. We need him on the team. We need a better kicker than what we've got. So I'm happy that it's worked out finally.
Yep.
All right, and finally now, the Baltimore Ravens have unveiled their first alternate helmet, and they're going to be featuring it in the first game of the season.
Not the first game. It's just in one game.
Oh, featuring in one game this season. Okay.
Yeah. Like it's a snazzy looking helmet. They at least had the not the gall, but they had the
Raven head.
No, I'm just saying like they had the balls to put a different logo on the helmet. Like when these teams do alternate helmets, like even the Lions for this season, at least last year the Lions had a completely different logo to put on a helmet.
Nobody's ever seen before.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's what I want from these alternate helmets. Give me something different, not just a color swap, not just a inverted, color scheme. No, this is that alternate Ravens head that we've seen on so many Ravens, promotional, logos and stuff.
Right.
It's just the Ravens head looking at, on the sides.
Right.
It's more of a matte purple finish, it looks like, or metallic purple as they call it. And they had like a special name for this whole logo or this whole color scheme. They call it Purple Rising. But it matches really well with their all purple alternate uniform that they do. So it got a gold face mask, gold stripes down the middle of the helmet.
Okay.
I don't love the helmet, but it looks better than some of the other teams that just, let's just make an all white helmet with the logo. Let's make a orange helmet with our logo and the colors inverted. Chicago Bears, you're terrible looking uniforms. But I'm okay with it. I think for one game, that's what you want with these alternates. Like it's something kind of cool, and I'm sure the fans in Baltimore will love it.
Okay.
So,
all right, moving on to today's birthdays. For June 18th, defensive end Bruce Smith turned 61 years old today. Played his college football at Virginia Tech, and he was the first overall pick in the 1985 NFL Draft by the Buffalo Bills. He played 19 NFL seasons. He was with the Bills from 85 to 99 and finished his career with the Washington Redskins between 2000 and 2003, and he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2009. The other birthday today, tight end Antonio Gates turns 44 today. Played his college football at Kent State and played 16 NFL seasons, all with the Chargers. He signed as an undrafted free agent with San Diego in 2003 and ended his playing career in 2017 and 2018 with the LA Chargers.
yeah, he was a basketball guy, and then just kind of, I remember he came into the league undrafted, and he just was one of the best tight ends in football for many, many years.
Yeah, 16 seasons. That's a lot longer than most people last. All right, now we're going to move on to a couple of obituaries that happened this week. Well, they didn't. I guess they all did happen this week. But anyway, this is where we take a moment to honor those who have made the world of football a better place. The first one is that of Homer Rice, a head coach in college and in the NFL, has passed away at the age of 97. Rice began his coaching career as a high school coach in Kentucky and Tennessee from 1951 to 1961. He then became a college football assistant coach at the University of Kentucky from 1962 to 65, and also at Oklahoma in 1966. He was the head coach of the Cincinnati Bearcats in college from 1967 to 1968, and at Rice University from 1976 to 1977. Rice also was the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals from 1978 to 1979 and spent almost 20 years as the athletic director at Georgia Tech.
Our next obituary is that of John Harvey, a running back in the Canadian Football League and the World Football League, has passed away at the age of 74. Harvey played college football at the University of Texas Arlington and signed with the CFL's Montreal Alouettes in 1973. The head coach of the Alouettes at the time was future Pro Football and Canadian Football Hall of Famer Marv Levy.
Marv Levy,
sorry. My bad. I know it's Marv Levy. Harvey played one season in Montreal, and
I'm
then...
not the only one who makes mistakes.
Okay, stop it. I'm reading. It's an obituary. Harvey played one season in Montreal and then signed with the World Football League's Memphis Southmen, where he played from 1974 to 1975. He then returned to the CFL, where he played for the Toronto Argonauts in 1976, and then the Hamilton Tiger Cats in 1977.
Our final obituary today is that of Brad Dusek, a linebacker in the NFL for 8 seasons. He's passed away at the age of 73. Dusek played college football at Texas A&M and was selected in the 3rd round of the 1973 NFL Draft by the New England Patriots. However, he signed with the Washington Redskins in 1974 and played his entire career with the Redskins from 74 to 81. All right, so we're going to move on to our upcoming events calendar. This Saturday, June 22nd, the CFL's Toronto Argonauts are going to be taking on the Edmonton Elks at BMO Field, and we will be there come heck or high water.
Oh, boy, you say that, boy. God, I hope we don't get any shenanigans like the last time.
I think we'll have no problem this time getting into that game.
I hope
really
so.
Looking forward to seeing BMO Field.
Same.
They have a.
How's the weather supposed to be? Do you know?
I think it's supposed to be really hot. Hot
All
here,
right.
like it's going to be. We're having a heat wave here in Michigan right now, and it's going to extend through Saturday. So I'm pretty sure Toronto's going to be the same.
I'll bring my Detroit Lions sun hat.
You do that. All right, Tuesday, June 25th, our 350th episode next week.
Yep.
Got some special things planned.
Do we?
We're not totally sure what's going to happen, but tune in. We know we're going to be doing that one on video, so there will be a YouTube video of the entire show.
So it might take a little longer than normal to get up, but it'll all be up at that evening, hopefully.
Right.
So.
Yeah, because we're going to have to record later to fit some of our special guests in.
Yep.
All right, let's see. Sunday, June 30th, the Arena Football League season comes to an end. July 2nd, a Hard Knocks off-season with the New York Giants debuts. That's 5 episodes. Let's see, July 10th, the Receivers docuseries premieres on Netflix. That's 8 episodes. July 29th, EA Sports...
19th.
What did I say?
You said 29th.
19th, yeah. EA Sports college football video game is released. And that same day, Arena Bowl 33 will be played. We don't know where yet. Thursday, August 1st, the Pro Football Hall of Fame game in Canton featuring the Chicago Bears and the Houston Texans. A couple days later, on the 3rd, the 2024 enshrinement ceremonies will take place. August 6th, Hard Knocks training camp with the Bears. No, I already had that one, I thought.
Nope, you did the Giants.
Oh, okay.
There's 3 different versions of the Hard Knocks.
Okay. Hard Knocks training camp with the Chicago Bears. 5 episodes. It's going to premiere on HBO and Max. August 24th, week 0 in college football. September 5th, the NFL regular season begins with the Ravens at the Chiefs. Friday night, September 6th, the Eagles versus the Packers in Sao Paulo, Brazil on Amazon Prime. And finally, November 17th, the 111th Grey Cup game in Vancouver. We are planning to be there for that game too. So our plate's full for the rest of this year.
It's exciting.
Gonna be a lot of fun. Yes, a lot of things. Some things that we've done before, like going to a game in Toronto. Some things we've never done before, going to a Grey Cup game in Vancouver. Never been to Vancouver. Never been to the state of Washington or Oregon. I've been to
Are we planning on
California.
Going there?
No, but I'm just saying I've never been up in that part of the country. Been to California. You've been to California, but never up in Oregon
not
or Seattle area.
They don't call that the Midwest. That's the just the Upper West. I don't know. I don't know.
The Pacific
The
Northwest
Pacific
is
Northwest.
what
Yes.
that is. Never been up in that
The world of
area.
football in the
Yes.
Pacific Northwest.
Yes, yeah. That should be good. So anyway, any other breaking news before we call this a show?
As far as I know, no other arena teams have folded other than the Desert Hawks,
Thank
apparently.
goodness. All right. Well, that's it for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we've done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
Follow the World of Football on Facebook, X, and Instagram. Just look for TWOF Kalamazoo on all those platforms to find us. New episodes of this podcast are posted on Tuesdays and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast to hear us on whatever Alexa devices you may have. You can also find the full audio version of this show on our YouTube page. Next week, it'll be a full video. There will not be an audio version of the show on the YouTube channel. It'll be the full video. But you can still hear us on the
So you're going to post that on SoundCloud and
on all the other platforms. It'll still be audio, but we'll have a special video on the YouTube channel instead of the typical audio.
Right.
So just enter the World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle at the World of Football in the YouTube search bar. So please spread the word, subscribe, rate, review, give us a like, leave us a comment, let us know what you think, and please come be a part of the football conversation. And even at the end of the show, we're still sitting at 968.
Okay. Yeah, we need a few more subscribers to hit 1,000.
Yep.
So we appreciate everybody that
We
has
do.
subscribed.
You guys have
already.
no idea how awesome it is to interact with a lot of you. And, it's just been a fun ride. Go for it.
It's funny because some people will have a definite opinion on some of the indoor leagues. Others will have arena football league questions or comments. Some UFL. So it's all over the place. It's a little bit of everything we cover. Somebody out there is paying attention to it as well.
Yeah,
and it's fun to hear their.
We're
opinions.
here for all these leagues, big and small. So yes, sure. Like I've made fun of the AIF a little bit, but
Yep.
I mean, it's all under this roof. We're here to talk about it. Whether or not we like certain leagues or not. It's up to the individual's taste. So, but I like that we can sit here and talk Canadian Football League and then jump into talking about the league, European League of Football, or talk about the LFA, NFL. I mean, this is the home for all the people who just like football.
Yep.
That's what we've been trying to build. And it's come a long way since Randy was just making it in an old HTML file back on his old Commodore 64 back in the day, or whatever computer you had.
It wasn't a Commodore 64.
What was it?
But,
do you remember?
My first computer was
No, not your first. The first one that your World of Football graced into, that you started typing the little formulas in there to make your website. Was it just the old Windows?
I don't recall.
Jeez.
It's been so
What a
long.
disappointment. You'd think that'd be in the history books of the
It
world of
wasn't
football.
off the top of my head, no. But remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us here in Kalamazoo. Until next time, when we'll try and do a better job, yeah, right, I'm Randy Snow.
And I will get Dad some poutine while we're in Canada.
Ooh, looking forward to that. We'll see you all next week.